Hello friends and welcome back into the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to my mat. I still have the craft mat down because we're going to be doing some crafting today. And we're going to get to that project in a minute. But first, let's get into a little housekeeping. Welcome everybody. Welcome into the channel. I appreciate you being here. If you're stumbling across this video in YouTube land and not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's free. Help to support the channel. And give me a like. Pop off in the comments if you have an idea. Any ideas you want to share about the project we're going to make today. Love to hear from you. So feel free to pop off in the comments and share your ideas with all of us or over in my community tab. And don't forget to hype my videos, friends. If YouTube gives you the option to hype, please, if you can, hype my videos. Appreciate it. My friends, so we're into Beadmas. We're into 12 days of Beadmas. Happy Saturday, everybody. It is day 9, which means we have just 3 days left of Beadmas. Ooh, what's the finale going to be, guys? What do you think it is? Do you guys know? Do you guys know yet? I gave you a teaser on Thanksgiving. Well, we've got just 3 days left to get to the finale. My friends, we're going to do something so fun. Now, I've seen this throughout the year and previously to this year, but I have seen it meandering around on the craft sites and YouTube and all over. Plant stakes. What a cool, fun thing. So super simple and easy. Minimal beads. We really just need some wire and some tools for sure. But we just need minimal beads and we can really use any kind of beads we want. Charms, focals, prisms, lots of fun different things that we can do. We're going to get into a couple variations today. And, you know, I also saw Jody over on This Beaded Life. If you guys follow her, if not, pop over and follow This Beaded Life. She made these, I think, back in the summer. It was a really cute idea, the way she put her spin on it. So lots of fun ways you can put a spin on a plant stake. And I think it's a really cool way to jazz up our plants. So let me pull in a couple of things that I've done that could be a plant stake, but it could also be used to the beginning makings of a beaded plant, okay? And so, guys, what I've done is, like, for example, here, okay? So here's one that I did. This is using some wire. I'm going to show you all the wire that I have out for today in a minute. This is that, like, floral wire, okay? And so I just fed a bunch of beads on, did a simple loop right here, and just kind of bent them and kind of some crazy way, whatever. You don't even have to do that. You can make it straight. And just did a little, like, makeshift little flower there. Super easy, right? And we can just plop that right in. By the way, guys, I have my mini little plant. I've got you guys panned out about as much as I can, but this is my little mini plant that I am actually about to do a beaded tree. And I hang it, okay? And I put a little piece of styrofoam in here, so you can just hopefully get kind of a little bit of a visual. So whether it's a faux plant or a real one, you know, these are just too much fun, right? Here's one that I did with, like, all crystals, and I just wrapped the wire around the outside of each one and bent them, you know, in a kind of a crazy shape, and left a little stem there, wrapped it at the bottom to keep it from falling off. And you can just put it either in the dirt, you know, or whatever, but so pretty. Same here, just did less beads on this one. So, man, they really can jazz your plants up, right? So I'm digging these. I'm really, these are so fun. Here I did 2 that with that same green bead, that green teardrop crystal, and fed them upside down, right? And put nothing else on it. So it's just, you could do this where you have just one pretty bead, you know, on the top. You know, you can do any bead, really, right? So there's that. And then these are fun. I did these where I just twisted, we did the twisty tie, and I twisted the wire on the bottom. And I just literally kept feeding beads and then turning the wire around and twisting it. And then I just kind of was moving you know, these all around in just crazy shapes and ways. And that's what that looks like. So now I can just literally press this down in my plant or my dirt, whatever. It's kind of how those look. And then here's one that tried to do something. Try to do something here. Try to do a little cute little flower. I use some really thin gauge wire. That's why it's kind of flimsy. But you know, lots and lots of fun things we can do with plant stakes. We're gonna make a couple variations today, okay? And we're gonna get into that right now. So let's talk supplies. Let's talk supplies on day 9 of Beadmas. Okay, guys, so gauges of wire. I've got 16. This is antique copper, a 16 gauge. So I've got a 16 gauge wire, okay? I also grabbed an 18 gauge. I also have a 24 gauge, okay? And I have that floral wire I was telling you about. And it's actually 22 gauge, okay? But it feels more like 20. It's definitely more than 22. I think it's a 20 gauge, if you guys have anything like this. So, really, any kind of craft wire, floral wire will work. And we're gonna make a couple different variations. I'm gonna try to do 3. I know we've got to get to at least 2, but I want to try to give you guys a bunch of ideas, okay? To do something really fun. Let me get you zoomed in here. With just, you know, any beads or any wire. Let's start with one that I already made. Oh, tools, guys, tools. So you'll need to use some flush cutters, friends, or any kind of wire cutters, but not your good ones, because this is more of a craft project. So I've got my junkier pliers here. That's what I use those for. You can use your bail making. I've been grabbing for these, and of course your nylon jaw, especially with the thicker gauge wire. And I did find myself on this one pulling out my flat chain nose, okay? And if you want to use your regular chain nose too, you can. If you're going to do like some wrapping around, I want to show you. I'm going to give you a visual of an idea. But anyway, so lots of tools and then any kind of wire. So here's the first one that I made. Okay, so I've already made the form. I made this out of my 18 gauge, okay? And I cut 10 inches of wire, okay? And all I did, guys, was go to the end and I turned in a loop with my bail making, and then I kind of just literally started to form that with my finger, okay? And then I went right here at the end, and then I put my pliers right here and put that wire and made a sharp bend in it just because I wanted to. Now you could make that a perfect circle, but I wanted to kind of have a nice sharp bend in it, and we're going to dangle something from that. So that's the first one we're going to do, and let's just actually finish that. But I do want to pull in some beads. We'll finish this one first, and let you just give you some ideas. So we have a tree of life. I have this cool little pendant, okay? Now, it does have a loop here, but we might need a jump ring, okay? And then I've got some wood beads and then just some really large 12 and 16 millimeter beads. These are some pretty glass beads. There's a disc bead, another one of those green teardrops. And then I have a couple of cha-chas that I already made because this is another really fun idea. So if you happen to, let me get it turned the right way, want to make a cha-cha or have a cha-cha for another project that you made laying around, these make some really cute dangles. Okay, so I've got that one, and I think that's one of the same. Yeah, I got 2 of those. Okay, some pretty bicone crystals on those cha-chas. And then just some fun beads, because you could really make these shapes, friends, any kind of way to make a cool plant stake. So let's finish this one first, okay? And my idea for this one, friends, is to take some of to take these 2 beads right here, I believe. And it's kind of just my idea. And we're gonna take some smaller gauge wire. I'm gonna wire wrap them. And then we are going to dangle it from right there. And it's just gonna be, and it's gonna have a long stem of a wrap. So that's my idea for my first one. So let's jump into that one. Let me clear the mat here. Okay, so now I'm just gonna grab some 22 gauge actually. To go ahead, I just cut off a generous piece here, okay? And I'm just gonna make my own head pen. So I'm just gonna go in here. My holes are not too big, so I don't need that big of a loop. So, and again, I'm working with some 22 gauge here. I'm just gonna do a little coil here, go around a couple times, and I'll pull my wire up and around through from the top down and pull that wire through and make ourselves a little head pin here. Grab my nylon jaw. I'm gonna rest those up against that wire and continue to push that wire up. Okay, and that's what I've got. And because it's a plant stake, I'm not too worried about it being any better than that, okay? I'm just gonna feed my 2 beads on. And the reason I cut such a long piece of wire, friends, is because here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna do a long stem is what's gonna be happening here, a long wrap, okay? So I'm just gonna decide how much stem I want. I think I wanna try about that much. So I'm gonna fill that whole space with a wire wrap. There, I'll put my bend on. And so let's now go in here. Ay, ay, ay. And go up and around and over. Okay, and now let me grab my pliers and hold that, and I am going to just start wrapping. And whether they're clean or messy, I don't care. In fact, I think I want them to be actually kind of messy. Done, we're done. I'm just gonna try and wind mine all the way around and not even trim it. Not even worry about it. There we go. Okay, so that's what I have. But it's got some beautiful beads on it. And then I am going to take and feed this down my long stem and get it up and around. And there we go. Voila. There is plant stake number 1. Just look at how pretty that is. Let's grab the plant stake and let me zoom you out. And let's put that in there and see. I'll bet you it's too cool. Okay, that is ridiculous, you guys. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is hanging in your plant. Isn't that cool? I love that. Yay! Okay, 1 is under our belt. Let's go to number 2. The second idea I have is kind of similar. We're gonna just shape the wire. I wanna go ahead and try to use the 16 gauge on this one, and then we're gonna hang the tree of life on it. And so I will grab, again, about a 10-inch piece. You know, I'm not really measuring, just kind of eyeballing it. So maybe about that much. About that much. So that's probably 10, 11 inches, something like that. And we'll go ahead and cut that. Okay? Inch tighter. So I'm going to go in, like, say, my second to the largest bale. Let me zoom you in just a smidge here. And we're just going to make a nice regular loop. So I'm going to bend this wire around my plier. I'm going to rotate my plier and just continue until that wire touches that inside of that loop. Okay. That's all I'm looking to do there. Okay. And you could make that loop any size you want. Okay. So this is basically what I have. Now I'm going to grab my flat nose plier and I am going to put them right there below that loop that I just made. Okay. And I'm going to push the wire away from me. Okay, and this is 16 gauge. Okay, so that's what I've got now. Okay, let me remove that and let's look at what we have. Okay, so that's what we've got. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over as far as I want and get this to bend one more time to come down so I can then push that in the dirt or my faux plant, right? So you can make this any length you want, right? Any width. So maybe you want to dangle something here and some stuff here too. You could absolutely do that. So I'm just going to go over a little bit, maybe about right there. Okay, and now so this is what I've got. Okay, and now I'm gonna bend the wire again. Just bend it away from me, just like that. All right, and when I've got it in there, I'll try to straighten it out a little bit. And I'm actually gonna grab my nylon jaw while I'm holding that wire and just straighten out a little bit. Okay, there we go. So, there we go. And now we can pretty much do whatever we want here. So what I was thinking is we could either add a jump ring or we could just hang it on there because, you know, you can turn this either direction. It does not matter. So let's just see if we can even get this to feed down the wire. Yeah, and we'll avoid the jump ring. Yeah, we'll just pop that open a little bit right there. You want to hammer that with a block and hammer a little bit. That wouldn't hurt. And how simple, how simple and fast is that, but how cute, right? Oh my goodness, and I love that on the 18 gauge. Look at how cute this is as a plant stake. Let me zoom you out again. And there we go. This little guy's kind of going haywire there. There we go, look at that. Look how cute that looks. Ooh, I like that. I love that. Look, you just did couple little bends on some wire. It took 5 minutes or less. So did this one. Didn't take much time at all. It took me longer to wrap those wraps really than the entire thing. So we've got those. Let's try one more, guys. But I also want to give you an idea. So let's say that you had a piece of wire that was, I would say like 16, 18 gauge, something like that. And you could do something like this. Check this out. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to give you a visual. You could take a bunch of wire, like say some 20, I would go 24, 26, 28 gauge, and just feed some pretty crystals on them, right? Just like I did here. And just do twist tie, just halfway down, cut it, and leave the rest of your wire. And now you could take this, and let's just say, let me get an example of, like, let's just say, pretend that, you know, this is our shape on our plant stand, okay, that we made. You could go like this, right, around the top and anchor this wire to here, make a whole bunch of them, right? Let me just give you a visual. And you could even do like multicolored beads. And look how cute would that be? Right? It'd be like a little pinwheel across the top of your wire, right? I hope you guys get it. I think that's just a super, super cute idea. So just an idea on that one. The last one that I want to make, friends, is, let me show you. Okay, so I wanted to do the cha-cha. And that we're going to do almost just those traditional plant stakes that I know you've seen them a million times. So I'm going to grab my cha-chas. I don't know what I'm going to use yet, but I'm going to grab all my cha-chas. And then I'm going to grab, I think let me do the 16 gauge wire on this one. Let's go to work about maybe the top third or so, if that, okay, of my wire, okay? And I'm going to want to make a loop. So I am going to go to the biggest part of my bail making here and put that like that in my wire because I'm going to come forward. So there's my largest bail, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and come all the way down. Okay, so now that's what you have. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that from my plier. I am going to change the size of my bail, so I'll probably go maybe with the 4th step here. And I am going to go to about a 1/4 inch to the bottom of that wire, away from it. And now we are going to take and wrap this up, just like that. So that's what you now have. Okay, so I know you guys have seen these, right? Just those standard little plant stakes. And yeah, you know, I gotta tell you, this is holding up. And of course, you know, the more you work with it, the harder it gets. And I did work hard in it with the nylon jaws. So I do think the 18 gauge right now seems to work just fine. So there you go. You know, and if you wanted this to be wider, you could make that wider. Okay, you could use anything, like let me show you, for example, like a beading container or a nail polish, really anything. If you wanted that to be bigger, we can just like open the wire up, okay? I'm gonna put that around my beading container. I'm gonna hold it and just now I'm gonna pull it around, okay? And so now look, I just made that bigger of a loop there. So you didn't have to use your bell making, you can use an object as well. And so now it's what I have. So I made a bigger loop. Okay, so that's what I've got. And literally we can just hang some cha-chas on here. And they could be any beads or anything, really. So, there we go, now you're on there. And now, oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. Look how cute this is. Oh my word. I hope this didn't run too long. Let me get my sample little, cute little plant out here. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. This is insane. Let me put this in here. Ooh, look at that. Oh my gosh. And you know what would be cute too if you hung it where it hung out the side. Let me move it out to like the outside. Look at how, oh my gosh, I hope you guys can tell. Can you tell how pretty that cha-cha is on that? So we've got that one, we made this one, so fun. And then we've got that style. And you can just tell, guys, that they are absolutely endless. How fun, right? How fun. I hope you guys enjoyed, oops, day 9, plant stakes. And I just think they're really fun, easy, fast, giftable. And I really enjoyed making these. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 10. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then, friends. Be blessed.